I'm sure there are plenty of us that grew up dreading our yearly physical because we knew we had to get vaccines. I, for one, was the epitome of the child screaming at the room next door. However, growing up in a household full of medical professionals and now going to school to do the same thing, I've been able to understand that why these vaccinations are so incredibly important. Nowadays, I'm sure we've all heard the term anti-vaxxers, those people who are refusing to vaccinate their children because they lead to adverse effects or cause more harm than good. Pew Research Center has been monitoring these people and showing that these myths surrounding vaccines are just enhancing the doubts about the mandatory practice of vaccinations. And because these myths are still spreading around America, it's so important to realize that they're not true and we should still be vaccinating ourselves and our children. In order to persuade why we should still be getting vaccines and why vaccinations are so vital to our society, I will be debunking the common myths that vaccines are unsafe, can lead to the disease it's trying to prevent, and cause other disorders such as autism. So, myth number one is vaccines are unsafe, which is completely untrue. A licensed vaccine goes through rigorous testing before it is released to healthcare facilities, and the World Health Organization noted in an article that scientists are constantly monitoring information that for any sign that vaccines may cause an adverse effect. Every possible side effect is reported and investigated, and they do their best to manipulate that vaccine to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But most of the time, these side effects are only sore arms. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services also assures us that the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and the CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control, are held to the utmost of standards and are improving these vaccines based on those standards. This then brings us to myth number two, that vaccines can actually lead to the disease that it's trying to prevent. Vaccines come in two different types: dead vaccines and live vaccines. Vaccines that are dead contain inactivated or killed versions of the virus. Dead viruses and bacteria can't lead to the disease it's trying to prevent. And live vaccines contain diluted versions of the virus. They're still alive, but they're unable to turn into a full-blown disease. Vaccines that are live, only 5% of the people who get them will get a mild rash that might mimic symptoms of the disease, but it can never turn into a full-blown virus. CDC released in an article that vaccines provide immunity to 95% of those who get vaccinated properly. With this in mind, vaccines are also unable to lead to other disorders. I'm sure we've all heard on the news that vaccines are somehow related to producing autism in children. The organization Autism Speaks created an article that educated people about the causes of autism, and they clearly stated that autism is not caused by vaccinations. The three main reasons for autism are genetics, so the genes that we are receiving from both our parents and past family members; environment, which sums up the care taken during pregnancy, so it includes, did your mom drink while she was pregnant, did she do drugs while she was pregnant, etc., and the brain's biology, which vaccines are unable to manipulate. Stanley Plotkin, which is also a famous researcher in this topic, did research and found that no data supported the claim that vaccines lead to autism. He also suggested that the reason why this claim came to be in the first place is because as vaccines started to come out and be released and used, they were also doing research about autism and diagnosing more children because they had more information about that disorder. So it was kind of an unfortunate coincidence and led people to believe that they were related. So to wrap up, vaccines have been cited as one of the most equitable, low-cost, high-impact public health measures in the United States and have saved millions of lives. Diseases have been completely eradicated in the United States because of them. And these diseases include polio, which killed 35% of the people that contracted it and disabled the people that lived through blindness or other muscle problems. But we haven't seen a case of polio in the United States since 1979, thanks to vaccines. So in conclusion, through extensive research and FDA guidelines, the myths that vaccines are unsafe, cause the disease it's trying to prevent, and cause autism are completely false. And we should all be vaccinating ourselves and our children and completing the research for ourselves and understanding that vaccines can prevent so many horrible illnesses that we've tried so long to get rid of. Thank you.